7:30 on the dot, July 10th, 2023. Before we get to the pledge, just a quick safety update, just a basic safety info. In the event of an emergency, please be advised you are able to exit the way that you entered through the two double doors. Another method of exit is through the doors to my right, your left. You can follow the stairway down, which will then lead you to the back of the building in the event of emergency. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we're at the presentations portion of our agenda. I will relinquish the floor to our mayor, Larry Hushar.
Test. It's a good start. Former council member Poirier, could you please come up? Thank you. Got a little something I'll read here, and then you'll have an opportunity to speak if you desire. It is a pleasure and an honor to speak of your time on the Mount Airy Town Council as a member, as a council president, and as the acting mayor. You passed several ordinances and steered the Sustainability Commission through its infancy. I had the privilege to work together on some initiatives, such as a policy for commission liaisons and a ban on smoking in parks. Together, we managed to assist Pat Rockenberg, former mayor, through the toughest of times during the pandemic. We did not always see eye to eye on issues, but I always knew that once the vote had occurred, you were ready to move forward with the betterment of the town. Of everyone I've had the honor to serve with, you will be the one who always had the greatest poker face. And I believe this was because throughout your entire time on the council, you maintained a high degree of personal integrity. You kept confidence of fellow council members and Mayor Pat, and did not seek the limelight, well, except during Oktoberfest when you put on the lederhosen and uncharacteristically ran around the streets. Small town government is the toughest. You did not get to hide behind a political party or avoid the people at Walmart. You have your face, you're always coming face to face with your constituents head on. I think probably the best a person can do after serving in town government is hold on to one's integrity, and you have done that. You have my deepest respect, and on behalf of the town, we all thank you for your service. Thank you. And do a photo? Get a quick picture. And thank you. Here you go. Appreciate it. Feel free to take the photo.
It'll be quick, I promise. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm just going to keep it really simple. And this time, it's just for my family. And thank you to my wife Becky for 8 years of ups and downs and trials and tribulations. And thank you to my kids. And Riley, we were pulling you around in a wagon when we were campaigning, and the other two were not even here. AJ was here, whatever. So just thank you to you guys for putting up with everything that I had to go through. And hopefully you guys have a deeper respect and gratitude for not only me, but everything that you learned here at Town Hall. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, we are moving on in the agenda to the public comment section. By a show of hands, how many people here would like to speak during the public comment? 2. All right, easy enough. Podium's good where it is.
I think so.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, come on up. We'll try to keep it to 3 minutes or so.
You'll need to turn it on.
Thank you. My comments will be brief. I'm simply asking, we've resubmitted a text amendment, ordinance 2023-33, for an indoor shooting range on behalf of King State. Previously, we think the public process was short-circuited by pre-soliciting an unfavorable comment that didn't allow this to move forward. Indoor shooting ranges are safe activities, and we simply ask that this text amendment be allowed to proceed through the public process to allow public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wiltshire?
Dick Swanson, I'm a resident of the town of Mount Airy. I'm here to speak about ordinance 2023-36, which is an emergency, request for emergency passage to fund $100,000 for well exploration. And I want to make several points, and that is, first and almost foremost, is in reading the ordinance, I find there's absolutely nothing in there that indicates there's an emergency. What is the emergency, and what would that emergency be that would meet the definition under the code of an emergency that would allow the town council to pass such an ordinance? There is no reason put in there that indicates an emergency at all. Second point is, it also fails to say what the $100,000 is for. What are you buying? What equipment? What services are you contracting for? Nothing is in there that indicates what that is. Thirdly, what's the purpose of doing this now when last month this never came up, the month before it never came up, month before that it never came up. All of a sudden we walk in here and we're asked, the town council's asked to pass an emergency ordinance to fund $100,000 for who knows what, who knows why, and what happened to precipitate this emergency. What is it? And if there were to be passed, there's no indication in here as to if the 50,000 gallons of additional permit were given on well number 9 by MDE, where's that going? What's it for? What category in the allocation of water is that for? Is it all going to one, several? Why are we doing this? We have no idea. As a taxpayer of this town, I'm asking the representatives to inquire into this, find out what this means, let the public know, and let's have some transparency and not some vague $100,000 we'd like to spend, oh, by the way, and it's an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call. Any other public comment? All right, moving on. We don't have any speakers. All right. Next up on the agenda is the approval of the council meeting minutes, closed minutes, and any other related minutes as listed. The only meeting we had in the month of June was the town council meeting minutes. I will make a motion to approve the minutes from June.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Wait, I think I do have something.
Okay.
I apologize. I meant to reach out to Holly, but I didn't get off work in time. It was on the last page of the minutes of the council meeting, under mayor, council, staff reports. It's just missing that I did the Flatiron Task Force report. So I do Parks and Rec Beautification and Flatiron Task Force. So if we could just add that on, I know that's kind of a typo, but I think it's kind of important since we've got all the other task force listed.
Absolutely.
If we can make that correction, then I'm good with it.
So we'll make a motion to approve the June 2023 minutes with the amendment to include the Flatiron Task Force update under Council Secretary Galetti's reports. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This time, we will call for the Civil Air Patrol report. Captain Rolfe was not able to be here, so Second Lieutenant Aaron Lavelle is here in his absence. Welcome, thank you.
All right, so I have the report for the Civil Air Patrol for June of 2023. The following are some significant events and accomplishments that we've had for the past month. One thing we've been a major part of is supporting the Wings Bay Patrol mission. For those of you unaware, we provide some airborne safety observations for around the Chesapeake Bay area. We led the planning efforts and still are leading the planning efforts for the regional and the Wing International Air Cadet Exchange as well. There's going to be 22 students coming from 4 different countries, and we are playing a significant role in that. The Cybersecurity Skills Open House is being supported by our squadron personnel. They're going to showcase our cadet capabilities to local industry experts and some local industries that may or may not be able to provide some opportunities for them. And we are, of course, supporting the execution of the Civil Air Patrol's summer encampment, of which we usually find some way to help out with that as well. For community support, we supported the change of command for the ceremony for the Maryland National Guard Adjutant General. And we have no new qualifications or achievements this month. However, we have begun to have some squadron members that have begun to pursue a small unmanned aircraft qualifications. This is in response to an emphasis from our region and from the Wing. They would like to see that capability increased, and so we're going to go ahead and answer that. We hosted a marksmanship training, both for seniors and for the cadets. That was done at Camp Frederick Military Reservation. We provided some basic rifle training and pistol training as well. We used the National Guard's engagement skills trainer, that simulation program. Our squadron pilot provided the support for the summer encampment orientation flights. We find ways to keep our pilots busy these days. We don't have any new personnel to report for the month of June. However, the good news is we do believe we're adding 4 new members this month. Additionally, those members from the Parkland Squadron that we discussed last month have started to show up at our meetings. I think we've had so far 5 of them, but we anticipate that there may be more. Our operational status, we're happy to report that we're fully mission capable at this time with a normal response time. Previously, our vehicle was under repair. That has been taken care of, and we are all good to go. Things that are on the horizon, I would say that we're going to support the Independence Day operations for the cleanup, but we've already gone ahead and we've done that. And in the future, we've got the Wreaths Across America Mobile Education Exhibit in August. We're going to support that. Again, like I mentioned, we're going to continue to support that International Air Cadet Exchange as well throughout the month of July. And finally, we have a couple of community events that we're going to support as well. Pending your questions, that is the end of my report.
Any questions?
Just a comment. Thanks so much for the 4th of July support. You guys came out there on a national holiday and spent about 2 hours working on rolling up all that orange fencing, which is a tedious job and would take our Public Works Department a long time. And I suspect as that crew would go, they would not get rolled up nearly as nice.
Well, we appreciate the shout out, and we're happy to help in any way we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mount Airy Police report, Lieutenant Ginevra. Oh, got a seat.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Lieutenant Ginevra with the Mount Airy Police Department, Mayor, council members, and town residents. I've successfully completed the Mount Airy Police Department's June 2023 monthly report. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review it. If not, we can go over it just a little. At the time, I'd like to report that we've had one opioid overdose in town. And other than that, does anyone have any questions if nobody's had an opportunity to review the report itself?
Just one quick comment. Thank you for being the active participant at the lemonade stand up by the firehouse. I saw them out there a couple times. Unfortunately, I'm driving by a little bit, not unobserved, but I was unable to stop. But thank you for making the opportunity to go out there and stop. Thank
Sure,
you.
no problem, I fit right in. Likewise.
Was it good lemonade and cookies and other
The
treats?
cookies were good.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys did a great job with the cookies and stuff, so definitely appreciate the cookies. I think they had brownies also.
Okay.
But I'd like to address something further. The Mount Airy Police Department also was found in compliance with the governor's youth and crime prevention. During the month of June, they conducted an audit and found that we were in compliance with regulations. And also, I'd like to share something that I received in the mail today from Lexipol Connect has presented the Mount Airy Police Department with the 2022 Gold for Excellence in Online Training Management. Mount Airy officers use the Lexipol system to assist with in-service training requirements and to retain their certifications. This online training helps with two things in itself. Is one, it helps with the training requirements for the officers, and it keeps the officers available on the street. They're able to do that online training while working, so I don't have to send them somewhere else to MPTC or other outer agencies in itself. So, I mean, this was kind of really nice that they sent this. Lexipol Connect 2022 Gold presented to the Mount Airy Police Department for excellence in online training and management. And I'd just like to read something on behalf of Senior Vice President from Lexipol. On behalf of the team here at Lexipol, I'd like to offer our congratulations on your achievement in the online training as part of the Lexipol Connect recognition program. To highlight your dedication to public safety educational excellence, we are happy to present this plaque to your department to showcase your success this past year, to share this accomplishment with your staff and community. We are honored to partner with your agency and assist the important work of your department in protecting your communities. Again, sincerely, Mr. Mark Fordham, Senior Vice President of Lexipol. Yes, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to make a comment. I'm glad we agreed to invest in that because I knew it would be a good tool, and obviously you're showing that it's a good tool, and you needed it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, we will now move on to our mayor, council, and staff reports, looking for highlights and action items regarding the past month's meetings. We will start with our mayor, Mayor Hushauer.
All right, normally I run through the whole list, but in this case, I'm just going to read about the fireworks display on the 3rd of July. The July 3rd fireworks display was amazing once again, despite the rain and lightning delays. Thank you to Denise Fox, Bing Gullicky, and Chris Coleman for spearheading the effort. Also, thanks to our staff, Public Works, and the Mount Airy Police Department in their efforts. And thank you to the Marine Corps League, Scout Troops, and Civil Air Patrol for their support of the event. And thank you to Pops for his medley of patriotic songs and the national anthem. And thank you to the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company for the grounds and all the first aid services throughout the event. And finally, thank you to all the sponsors that made that event possible, and we'll do it again next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll go on to our Recreation and Parks, Beautification, and Flatiron Task Force. Council Secretary Galletti.
Thank you. I'll start with Beautification Commission. On June 20th, there was a meeting. There was no quorum, so they were not able to meet and conduct business. The next meeting is July 18th, 7 o'clock here in Town Hall. Flatiron Task Force. Wow. So the Flatiron Task Force has been busy. We got grants awarded to date. The Preservation Maryland received $10,000 on May 16th. May 1st, we submitted an application for the Maryland Historic Trust Capital Preservation Grant, which is $100,000. That's pending. I shouldn't say we, I should say they, the task force. May 3rd, or a staff member, submitted an application for National Trust for Historic Preservation Hart Family Fund, $7,500 pending. And June 29th, the town submitted an application for $300,000 for a grant from Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, and that is pending. In July, they are submitting an application to the Maryland Department of Housing and Commerce Legacy Grant that is pending. So there's a lot of grants going on, and it backs up this task force saying they will put skin in the game, and they are putting and they're continuing to put it. So thank you to the task force and anybody that's involved, just to let all the council members know, if you thought they weren't doing it, they're doing it. And the next meeting will be in July, to be determined. I'm imagining we'll let people know maybe on Facebook when that meeting is scheduled. Parks and Rec, June meeting. Thank you to the secretary for giving me the notes, because we were at the MML conference during this. Phase 1 of the skate park is complete. Kick Cares has a 5K color run on, well, that's November 11th. So new pickleball nets are installed. We're still working on the lighting. I walked by there last night, and people were playing on the 2 courts that are lit up. And I personally have played on those courts when it started to get dark, and we were able to finish our games. So thank you to staff for getting that done with the pickleball courts. Rails to Trails West paving is complete. Seating is in progress. I saw that because I'm using that trail. They're moving on it. There's a geology walk being held on July 24th at 7 o'clock at Watkins entrance of Rails to Trails. Is there a sign up for that, or they just show up?
That one's actually full, but there is still spaces on July 29th.
Okay, so July 24th is full. There's space on July 29th. If you want to know who to contact, call Town Hall and ask for Nancy. Awesome. See how I just did that as we're going? July is Parks and Rec month. There'll be several events being held. No new updates on Windy Ridge Trail. Clearing dates still being held. Camp night will be on August 12th. I'll have a lot more details at the August meeting. And their next meeting is Thursday, July 20th, 7 o'clock via Zoom. If you want to attend, send me an email. I attended the MML conference, which I'm sure we will all touch on. But we always learn a lot, made more connections with other municipalities, and met new Governor Westmore, which was pretty cool. We gave him a Mount Airy pin and a coin. He spent a lot of time talking to the 2 young residents, females, girls, young adults that presented him the pin and the coin. He was very interested in the coin. He was even more interested to know that we have a new microbrewery in town on Main Street and what it's doing to stimulate our economy and the many activities, the food trucks. So fingers crossed, we might get the governor to come visit our little downtown Main Street in Mount Airy, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Council Secretary Galletti. Up next, Planning Commission, Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Council President. The June Planning Commission report, we approved the triennial update for water and sewer to the county master plan 5-0. Lot 19, Twin Arch, received a second extension request that was approved 4-1. Lot 17, Twin Arch, first extension request was approved 5-0. Ordinance 2023-8 received a favorable recommendation from the commission with a 4-1 vote to come to us. And the master plan dates have been set, and the first workshop was last Monday. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but after speaking to Mr. Butts, they've realized that we are a little farther ahead than we thought we were. So after the next meeting on July 31st, I'll be able to provide you with more updates on that. And that is it.
Thank you. Up next, Streets and Roads Commission, EDC, and Main Street Safety Task Force, Councilmember Demoter.
All right, thank you. First, let's talk about the EDC. We held our last meeting on June 28th, and topics at that meeting centered on planning for the Celebrate Mount Airy event, which will be happening on August 26th from 5 to 8 p.m. So for all the citizens out there, this is the town's annual block party to bring the community members and brick and mortar businesses together to really celebrate and learn more about each other. It's a celebration for the people in town. So we encourage you to come out to that, and you'll hear more about that next month. We're also working to build out the membership of the EDC and recruit members, in particular members from the business community. And we want to reinforce the mission of the EDC, which is to be the voice for all of Mount Airy's businesses. So it's really the one-stop shop we have MAMSA, we have Chamber of Commerce, we have other civic organizations, but this is the one place where businesses, if you have issues, if you have suggestions and lessons learned, this is the place to come. So EDC is your voice for business. Moving on to streets and roads, and I'll intertwine the Main Street Safety Task Force. So Streets and Roads will hold our next meeting on Tuesday, July 25th at 7 p.m. And we haven't had a meeting in a while, so this will be kind of reinvigorating the meeting with me as a new liaison and with some new members. So I'm currently networking with the members in preparation for that meeting, tying into Main Street Safety Task Force. The task force prepared a final report that detailed its accomplishments over the past year, along with detailed suggestions about specific projects for the future. And that was delivered to the council members and the mayor at the last meeting. We will be rolling, in speaking with the mayor, we're going to roll the Main Street Safety Task Force into the Streets and Roads Commission. So Main Street Safety will continue to get highly visible focus. It'll be a standing agenda item on the agenda, but we're going to integrate that, learn from the lessons from the task force, integrate that into streets and roads. One of the topics we'll probably be looking at is some concerns about the crosswalk around the caboose and the train station, and the fact that that's getting a lot more heavy pedestrian traffic with the brewery, and maybe the need to put some flashing lights there. So that's just one of the many things we're going to be looking at. So that would be my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman DeMotor. Next up, Recycling and Sanitation Commission and Sustainability Commission, Councilmember Munder.
All right, thank you, Council President. The meeting for the Sustainability Commission was held on Wednesday, 6/21 at Town Hall. Various topics were discussed, but I'll just go over a couple of them. Due to the cancellation of the Green Fair in spring due to weather, it is attempting to be rescheduled for the last between the dates of September 22nd and October 1st, because this is the National Drive Electric Week, so it fits in, the Green Fair fits in with that week. The dates that have been chosen are Saturday, September 30th, with a rain date of October 1st for the Green Fair, so please stay tuned for that. Also, the Adopt a Road program for Mount Airy was discussed. So basically, if any group or person is interested in sponsoring some road here in Mount Airy, please give Town Hall a call for more info on it. Also, the community garden still has several plots available. So if interested in obtaining a plot for the fall growing season, please contact Town Hall also. The next meeting for the Sustainability Commission is currently scheduled for Wednesday, August 16th at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. There was no Recycling and Sanitation Commission meeting last month since they alternate, and this month's meeting for July has been canceled for the Recycling and Sanitation Commission. So the next scheduled meeting for that commission is September 20th at 7 p.m. I would just like to also mention that I attended MML2 with the rest of the Town Hall elected officials, and it is a very interesting event, and we do network with other municipalities and particularly state agencies, so I'd like to go over a little bit on that. I was able to talk to Maryland Department of Transportation and State Highway Administration, and they have reached out to me regarding my inquiries about improvements of pedestrian safety on North Main Street, basically either adding a shoulder or sidewalk to the North Main Street portion where there is none, because every day I'm driving it, more and more people are walking the dogs, and it's becoming a safety concern. Also, I'm talking with them about adding a dedicated left turn lane from Route 27 on northbound onto North Main Street, because currently the left turn lane is in the, basically in the main travel lane. There's already been a couple of nice rear end accidents. They have reached out to me, so please stay tuned for that. And if you want to, I'll try and mention about the flashing light or the crosswalk down here by the caboose too, since I've been talking with them on that one. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Water Sewer Commission is with myself, The July meeting did not happen due to the Independence Day holiday. We did meet in June on the 7th at Town Hall. We talked extensively about the water rate increase that we'll be introducing this evening. Spent probably 2.5, possibly 3 hours going over different algorithms and how numbers are going to work with each section of how much water you actually use and how it will affect your bill overall. That took up the entire meeting, and that's exactly what we did. We do have Mr. Swanson here that was going to add a little bit onto the report. I will say that our next report, or our next commission meeting will be held on August 2nd here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. Thank you.
I'm Dick Swanson. I'm the chair of the Water and Sewer Commission. And on June 9th of this year, Maryland Department of the Environment released what they call the Maryland Draft Project Priority List for FY20, federal FY23 and state FY25 drinking water funds state revolving loan / grant program. And it says here about Mount Airy, and this relates to the request for money to offset the cost of remediation for PFAS, that we requested $6,174,000, and I believe that was in the form of a grant. And MDE requested funding for this is the $6,174,000 loan interest. And what I would appreciate is an update on the status of that and to what extent this has been firmed up either as a low-interest loan or a grant.
I can answer that.
Yeah, please do, because I cannot.
So it is under the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, which is typically a loan program. Sometimes you get grants through that. In this case, it is a 100% forgiveness loan, which means it's basically a grant. So you would not have to pay it back.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And if I may, there's still some public hearings that need to occur. That's the reason why we did not mention it this evening, is because it's kind of like we had the bottle of champagne, but we can't pop the cork yet. So that's where we're at, and that's the reason why it wasn't included. Thank you.
On to our town attorney. Tom, do you have anything?
Just briefly, prepared some of the ordinances and resolutions on tonight's agenda and also attended the Planning Commission meeting in mid-June. So that's it.
Thank you. And then we all received reports from the town administrator, code enforcement, and zoning administrator, correct? All right, we will move on to new business. We have a road closure request for a wine and cheese event on Thursday, August 17th, 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue. This request was made by MAMSA. Do we have a representative? Come on. Do you want to speak about it, or?
I don't know, this is my first time doing it, so.
Yeah.
She can be, tell her she can come up and.
Yeah, you're welcome to come up and tell us about the event.
So that's what it is. It's wine and cheese on Main Street. It's for local wine and cheese vendors. It's part of the farmers market. So we take a lot of the farmers, the goat cheese. They'll all come down. We're going to close down Main Street. We've done this. I think it's our third year now. We haven't closed the road before, but it's getting more and more popular, thankfully. So we'll close down the road for a couple hours Thursday evening in order to allow people to come and taste. We'll set up tents and, have wine and cheese vendors. Have the liquor board license going in tomorrow, actually. And we'll have some participation from the Main Street restaurants as well.
Okay.
It should be a lot of fun. You should come down. Tickets are cheaper if you get them in advance.
Where can people get tickets?
We're going to set it up online, so
Okay.
you'll see things starting to get promoted.
Okay.
Is that going to be on the Facebook page?
It'll be on MAMSA's Facebook as well as our website.
Okay.
And thank you for closing the road, because I know this event has really gotten popular.
Yeah.
And it was a little hairy. because you've got families and children, and you've got a lot of people on Main Street, so the cars that were kind of zipping up and down, I'm glad you chose to close the road this time.
I agree. The patio got really full, and people were kind of spilling out in line
Yep.
into the road, so
It's
safety
just,
first.
families come downtown, which is what we want, it's part of the Economic Development Commission, part of that piece, and then when they come downtown, they have to be safe. So I think it's a good idea you did that, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other
Questions?
questions?
Just quick question, Kelly. It looks like it's just the standard road closing areas between Prospect and Paradise?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure of that.
Ashley helped me with the map, so it's the same one that's been used for Celebrate. You'll also see that on the Oktoberfest road closure when we get, I think that's the next item, so.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Kelly? All right, we will need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the road closure for the Wine and Cheese event on Thursday, August 17th, from 4:30 to 8:30, from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue for the MAMSA event.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
You want to just stay there?
Yeah, I think I'm next with
You're
Oktoberfest.
welcome to stay.
So October, it's the 5th annual Oktoberfest celebration.
Hang on one second, let me read.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me read through.
Sorry.
So my next item on the agenda is another road closure for Oktoberfest. This would be, it says on here Saturday, September 23rd, but it would be the 25th, correct?
What? Is,
23rd.
that's the 23rd.
23rd? Okay. All right, so Saturday, September 23rd, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue.
Yeah, so I noticed that you had the 2021 paperwork out there, so I grabbed this from my car.
That's what I was
What I
looking at. There's
submitted?
2 different dates on it, so I just wanted to clarify.
Do you want the one?
Yeah, they
It's
need
the
the correct
2023.
paperwork.
I have it from the,
I don't need it as long as it's correct with.
Do you have
Okay.
the correct paperwork, Holly? Who does the correct paperwork go to in Town Hall?
Probably.
Ashley?
Well, our package shows the 25th, the agenda shows the 23rd.
your packet shows 2021.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you've got, Ashley's
long as
got the
the
correct,
correct
which I'm
package.
sure she does.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I know there's a copies floating around with this information
Yep.
for 2023, so.
Okay.
Yes, 9/23 is still the correct day.
Okay,
I
good.
know that.
2023.
It's
what I
my kid's
figured.
birthday, so it
Yeah.
is a Saturday.
Yep.
So let us, Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest is just a community celebration. We do traditional German attire. We're going to do some contests. We'll have Liquidity actually providing all of the beer. So really what we're trying to do as Main Street is keep all of the proceeds as much as we can from this event to downtown businesses only. So historically, we've gotten outside Bond Distributors was the beer vendor. But this year, we're keeping it as hometown as we can, making sure that all the Main Street restaurants have first dibs on any sort of German food. We're going to have a Main Street menu for all of them before we start reaching out for outside food vendors, food trucks, really just giving everyone in the community an opportunity to participate. So we have, they're doing the funnel cakes. I think it's 4 County Lions Club does the funnel cakes. Kiwanis is participating. We have 4 County doing a drink stand. So just trying to make sure that we give the opportunities for those different community organizations before we open it up to outside vendors. So wrapping all of those things up. But it'll be standard like our Oktoberfest has happened in the past. The road will be closed. There'll be activities for kids. We have bands in the rail yard and then acoustic acts over by Conchetta's. We'll have tons of moon bounces, axe throwing. It'll be a fun time.
Great.
Quick question. So I know that you've always given spaces to the local high schools for their fundraising. And so we're still going to have those there, right? I think South Carroll and Linganore each got a booth and they could.
Yeah, you want like the drama club?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we can
Or
talk about
whichever one steps up and wants it.
Yeah, we just opened the vendor spaces for non-food vendors so far, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, we will, because I have the contact for the 2 high schools, so I'll find out
Okay.
which ones won it this year.
Cool.
Thank you, it's awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I like that you incorporated the local, too.
Yeah, that's really important to me, so try not.
Any other questions for Ms. Patrick?
Yeah, I have a question. Will you be coordinating with the VFW The upper
Absolutely.
deck.
Yes, sir. So we've already met with the VFW and the Upper Deck. I had a collaboration meeting with the restaurant owners that sell alcohol.
Yeah.
Because we know that that is a topic of conversation in the past. So I do have approval from the liquor board. We came up with a form that each of the business owners have to sign, that they're going to participate under our liquor license for the day, so we can help benefit and stimulate those businesses as well during the event.
Okay, that'll be a great improvement.
Everyone is very happy about it. Yes.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you asked that, Mayor.
Yeah, I would agree. Any other questions?
Actually, a quick suggestion. I think this seems to come up every year, and there may have been some minor issues last year. For these big events, in terms of trash
Oh, yeah.
management, we for those kinds of events, the town recycle trash center should not be used for those events.
Correct, that's my understanding
Assuming
as
you'll
well.
be getting your own dumpsters and such.
Yes, so we have an outside vendor coming in with the dumpster. Liquidity's given us permission to park it in their space for the festival only. So we'll have somebody emptying the trash throughout the day and using that dumpster specifically for the event trash.
Okay, very good.
Yes, I've been involved in that trash. I don't want to deal with
Yes.
that. Trying to avoid all of those
Thank you.
things and get ahead of them. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
And I just want to say thank you for taking this over, because this has been a huge event and a huge fundraiser, and I'm glad it didn't just go away. So thank you for, I don't know if you really volunteered, but for, by default, taking it over.
Thank you, Ms. Galletti.
Absolutely. With no other questions, we will need a motion.
I'll make a motion for the road closure for Oktoberfest, I jumped ahead. Saturday, September 23rd, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue from AMSA.
I will second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You are free to go.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So with I think I need to do something with the open alcohol carrying.
That's coming up in our ordinance section of.
Okay, do I need to stay for that?
Unless people have questions, it's pretty straightforward.
I won't have questions.
I just need to get my kid.
I won't have questions.
Oh, no, I mean, let me just ask you this. Will there be people making sure that people aren't carrying past the,
Yeah, so we have the Civil Air Patrol. I don't know if she's.
Yep.
that's fine.
But yeah, they're going to set up, and then we also have people who are getting alcohol management certified.
Okay, and there'll be signs saying no carry beyond this point and stuff?
Absolutely, we got
I'm
you.
fine, okay. That
normal-
that concludes my
Normal
question.
checks to make sure everybody's a 21 or above.
Yes, wristbands only. The liquor boards told us, like, for the businesses that are going to sell as well, everyone will have the same wristbands, so it'll be easier for your staff to identify, all those pieces.
All right.
We're good.
I don't think you will need to stay then for
Yeah.
the
Okay,
that portion of the meeting. All right.
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have yet another road closure. This will be for the Celebrate Mount Airy, Saturday, August 26th, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue. Ms. Nancy Hernandez is here to represent the town.
Pretty much just say ditto to everything she said.
All right. All right.
The
Does
event will
anyone-
actually just be from 5 to 8, but we're requesting for the road to be closed an hour prior and an hour afterwards so that we can have setup and breakdown time.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? All right, we will need a motion.
I make the motion to close Main Street for Celebrate Mount Airy on August 26th from the time period of 4 to 9 p.m.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Next up, under new business, is the award of engineering services for Phase 1, well number 9, appropriation analysis. We're actually going to hold off on this until we approve the funding to actually award the services. I do not wish to vote on the services until the funding has been approved through what we have going on in our amendments coming up later on in the meeting. So if that gets approved, we will then revert back to this to award it. All right, next up, the Verizon Wireless Lease Renewal, North Main Street Water Tower. So I will relinquish the floor to Barney for a quick explanation.
So we got a request from Verizon We are 10 years into a lease agreement with them, where they are leasing our water tower, and it's 5-year renewals. And so the initial 5 period went through just fine. The second 5-year period just continued on as there was no changes. Now that we're coming into the third 5-year period, before they renew, they were asking for a reduction in their lease amount that they would pay. So we put it before you. We also reached out to a few other municipalities. I tried to have that to you Friday. I got that to you earlier today. Hopefully you had a chance to see that.
Yeah.
And we found that we're actually one of the lowest of the few that we were able to obtain. We have actually one of the lowest rates for leasing our tower. So not sure what you want to do with in response to Verizon.
Well,
I didn't put in a recommendation, but
yeah, well, I can tell you.
Draw your own conclusions.
I will start by saying it's not only a reduction, it's a significant reduction in what they're paying. I personally don't see the need for a significant reduction, specifically because we already are one of the lowest. We have the possibility of raising our water rights for our citizens. I would not feel right voting to do that and then voting to lessen the amount owed to us from Verizon. I will actually, unless anyone has any questions, I will make a motion to reject this initial proposal in hopes that you and Tom would go back and negotiate to at least our current lease agreement and just have that continue on. I don't believe that what they offered was even close to being in good faith.
I'll second that motion. After seeing these rates that they're paying in other towns, that's insane.
Yeah.
So I'm going to second that motion that he made.
Yeah. Do we have any discussion on that?
No, Councilwoman Galetti beat me to the second, and I agree with what she said and what Council President Washenbaugh said, and I believe you indicated the justification for it was they wanted to save money for further expansion, which I cannot agree with that justification, so I'm fine with your motion.
Any further discussion? All right, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, please let them know that their initial
Will do.
is rejected, and hopefully we can negotiate. Next up will be the town agreement with Carroll County, and I will relinquish to our attorney, Mr. McCarron.
Thank you, Council President. This is the town-county agreement that is renewed every year at about this time. I have taken a look at the agreement for this year. In substance, it is identical to the agreement we have had for as long as I can remember, with the exception, of course, of the numbers. So that is the only thing that has changed. Otherwise, the rest of the terms are exactly the same as has been for probably over a decade.
Any questions? All right. Hearing none, we will need a motion.
I make the motion to approve as drafted the Mount Airy Town and County Agreement with Carroll County for the services and other items mentioned in the agreement.
I will second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Tom. All right, next up will be the confirmation of our town administrator. I will relinquish to our mayor.
All right, regrettably, our current town administrator, David Warrington, is moving on to greener pastures or home improvement. Not quite. We went through an extensive interview period or application period, and that pulled up several applicants for the town administrator position. Of those, it was narrowed down to 5 who were interviewed, and out of those 5, we have decided that a 20-year employee, 20-plus year employee of the town, Heather Smith, who has served as a zoning, planning and zoning administrator, as well as worked up at the police department and is intricately familiar with all the things that happen up there in terms of input and other things that are required. And as well, she's been working in our accounting division with Katie over the last, about year and a half. So Heather has significant experience in the town, and at the conclusion of all the interviews, it was decided that Heather Smith is most suitable to be our next town administrator, and there would be a transition period with our current town administrator, and then she would take over the position at that time. So I'm asking the council to confirm Heather Smith as our next town administrator.
I will make a motion to confirm Heather Smith as our next town administrator.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I vote aye, or do I have to abstain? I'm voting, I have to abstain,
You
but
would
if
have
I
to
could
abstain.
vote, I would vote aye.
Thank you, Council Secretary. And congratulations to Heather Smith. Looking forward to working with her. Next up will be our commission appointments and reappointments. I will once again relinquish to Mayor Hushhour.
Okay, we'll just take them one at a time. After the last meeting, it was volunteered to Sean that he would be a great applicant on the Streets and Roads Commission. So my first appointment that I'm asking for approval of is Sean Kelly to the Streets and Roads Commission.
I will make a motion for Sean Kelly to be appointed to the Streets and Roads Commission. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome, Sean, and thank you.
Okay, next up is Stephen Potts Craft to be appointed to the Economic Development Commission.
I make the Okay, I just want to be sure the mic was on. I make the motion to appoint Stephen Pops Craft to the Economic Development Commission.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Pops.
All right, Ryan McCauley to be reappointed to the Board of Parks and Recreation.
I'll make a motion to have Ryan McCulley be reappointed to the Board of Parks and Rec.
I will
Rec
second.
and Parks.
Sorry, I will second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and finally, Kathy Balderson to be reappointed to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission.
I make the motion to reappoint Kathy Balderson to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations and thank you to all of our volunteers and Sean, who was voluntold.
He's not here tonight. Did we scare him off?
You did, Councilwoman, since you voluntold him.
You're welcome.
All right, we are moving on to our ordinance and resolutions part of our agenda. First up, Resolution 2023-1 to allow alcohol at Mount Airy Oktoberfest on September 23rd, 2023 from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. downtown Mount Airy. This is up for adoption.
Did we make a motion for the resolution? Okay, I make the motion to approve Resolution 2023-1 requiring or allowing the consumption and possession in open containers of alcoholic beverages on public property during Oktoberfest on September 23rd, 2023 from 12 noon to 6 p.m. under the conditions as listed in the resolution.
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right. Resolution 2023-2 to increase minimum value for assets for capitalization from $3,000 to $5,000. This is for adoption. I will look to Katie for a quick explanation as to what it is that we're doing for the citizens.
In order for us to be in compliance with the GASB rules, we have to set a minimum capitalization threshold, and we always keep it in line with our purchasing, just because it makes it easier. So in March, we increased the minimum from $3,000 to $5,000. So we're just increasing our minimum capitalization from $3,000 to $5,000. Basically, what that means is by increasing it with the purchasing, these maintenance items that may cost $3,000, we don't have to capitalize.
Thank you very much. So I will make a resolution to increase minimum value assets for capitalization from $3,000 to $5,000. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next up is Resolution 2023-3 to allow alcohol at Manza Wine and Cheese event on August 17th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will need a motion.
Okay, I make the motion for the town council to approve resolution number 2023-3, requiring or allowing the authorization to authorize the consumption and possession in open containers of alcoholic beverages on public property during the Wine and Cheese event on Main Street on August 17th, 2023, from 5 to 8 p.m.
I will second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Resolution 2023-4 to allow alcohol at Celebrate Mount Airy, August 26, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. up for adoption. We will need a motion.
Okay, I make the motion for the town council to approve resolution number 2023-4, which is a resolution to authorize the consumption and possession in open containers of alcoholic beverages on public property during the Celebrate Mount Airy event on August 26, 2023, from 5 to 8 p.m. In accordance to the conditions set forth in the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, ordinance 2023-8, for the purpose of providing guidelines for the Planning Commission and deciding whether to grant an open space inadequacy waiver under section 25-5G, subset 2. This is up for reintroduction with amendments from the Planning Commission and to schedule a public hearing if passed. We will need a motion.
I would like to make a motion
I will, go ahead.
to reintroduce ordinance 2023-8 for the purpose of providing guidelines for the Planning Commission to grant an open space inadequacy waiver under section 25-5G2 and for scheduling a public hearing.
I will second. And this will come back to us next month. So right now, we just need to schedule an open hearing. I would throw out our next meeting, which I believe is August 7th. 7 p.m. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Holly, you good with that? Yes, sir. All right, so we have an open meeting regarding 2023-8 on August 7th. At 7 p.m. Before our normal council meeting.
All right, that's just to super clarify, that's the public hearing, correct?
Yes, public hearing,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yep. All right. All right, next up is ordinance 2023-31. This is an ordinance to amend the town's water allocation ordinances to update water allocation categories for MXD and to prohibit an allocation category from obtaining access appropriate due to overlap of allocation categories. This is up for adoption. We will need a motion.
I make the motion for the council to for 2023-31 as described.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a few questions and comments. So I'm looking at page 2 of 4, section C, and items 1 through 11, and this is where the changes are, specifically C8, mixed-use district and mixed use in the community commercial zone, special exception, new demand outside priority areas. My first question, and I'll direct it to the town staff, is can this in any way be viewed as an action taking specifically for the Beck mixed-use development property? And when I say that, my logic is, for example, when the mixed-use ordinance got passed originally, it seems like that would be the time shortly after that to say, you know what, we might need to do these things. But now we're in the middle, we're in a development pre-concept plan review process with the Beck property, and now we're interjecting a change, and I'm just asking town staff, in your opinion, are we doing something in the middle of a process where the development team can say, here you go again, you're changing some rules on me? Any thoughts?
So I wouldn't call it an opinion. It's facts. It's something that we come across thanks to Carl putting it out there. And there was some concern with priority area with some large residential component of some kind of zone, whether it's mixed use or just some other use that comes in that might intertwine with the priority area. And if that asks for an appropriation, it could hold up some other developments in your downtown that are trying to redevelop. So it was a concern that was brought up. Sometimes when things come in, yeah, it does make us look at codes and stuff, but thanks to Carl, it brought this forward, and to me, it's a good correction.
Okay, and the second question would be, I'm reading section B and section C, the text, and it talks about, under B, it says, the planning commission shall by resolution designate priority areas within limits of the town, da-da-da-da-da, and under C, it says, allocation categories as recommended by the planning commission and deemed appropriate and necessary. My question is, should these changes be at least reviewed by the planning commission before we take a vote on it? It seems like this is something that the planning commission has a role in, and I'm wondering whether we should forward this to the planning commission for their review and recommendation before we take a vote on it.
So I might defer to Tom, but I'll say like 90, I think anything in section 98 or chapter 98 or the zoning code 112 should definitely go to the planning. This is in chapter 109, which is the water, but I'll defer to Tom, see what he thinks of that.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing compelling this to go to planning because it's not a 112 or chapter 98 change.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one question on page 2, C8, where you've got the mixed-use district and then mixed-use community commercial, so you've got the MXUCC. Did you mean to put in parentheses after that the MXD to clarify it's the two zones, MXD and MXUCC? Just missing the parentheses MXD.
Since
right?
you have the MXUCC, you could do the same with the MXD.
With the MXD, just to show that we're classifying. This is the one you and I talked about with the priority area, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So can we add that MXD in there to clarify it's for both? Carl?
Say that, I don't have a problem, but say that again. Where would it be on
So
line
you've got
8?
mixed-use district,
Gotcha.
mixed use in the community commercial, CC zone, MXUCC, special exception.
Okay, so you want
Did not
MXD?
have MXD in parentheses behind mixed-use district?
Okay, no, that's fine.
And
Tom, do you have any, sorry?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, yeah.
I think it might just be a grammatical thing, but it seems
Yeah.
to me like we should really have it designated to show. Okay, that's all I got.
No, I'm fine. I accept that friendly amendment, ma'am. So, Tom, do we need to do another, yes, do we need to do another motion to accept as amended?
So you've, as the movant, have accepted the amendment, so there should now be a second of the motion as amended.
Okay. I make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-31 as suggested by Councilwoman Goodetti
And for approval.
for approval.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Next up, ordinance 2023-33. This is a text amendment for indoor shooting range in the I or industrial district. This would be for introduction and referral to Planning Commission. We would need an introduction.
I would like to introduce ordinance 2023-33 text amendment, indoor shooting range in the industrial or I district for introduction and refer over to planning.
Do we have a second? Hearing none, this will die at the table. Thank you. Moving on, ordinance 2023-34, wellhead protection for introduction. We will need a motion.
I make the motion to introduce 2023-34, generally known as the wellhead protection.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. And we'll see that next month. Ordinance 2023-35, for the purpose of prohibited on-site consumption of cannabis at an establishment that sells cannabis in the town. This will be for introduction and referral to Planning Commission. Do we have a motion?
I make the motion for ordinance 2023-35 to be referred to the Planning Commission as described in the title.
And I would like to second that.
All right. That will be off to planning and come back to us later. Next up, this is ordinance 2023-36. This is a budget amendment to add $100,000 to well exploration and development. Please keep in mind, this is for emergency adoption and will require a 4-to-1 vote in order to pass. At this time, I'd like to relinquish the floor to Barney just for some explanation on what this is.
So keep in mind that there is some emergency purpose to this, that we have PFAS in our water. We have 2 wells that are down. We are running well 9 currently at about 175% of its daily average appropriation. So it's significantly higher. Since January, we've been ramping it up. They didn't start at 175%, but if you were at 175%, you can only run it for 7 months, and you got to shut it off, and then you're back to running your other wells. Hence, the reason for the emergency is not to delay another month, because we've been doing this, again, it's been running above its appropriation since January, but now we're about 140,000, and it's only appropriated for 79,000 on a daily average. We're allowed to run it at a max month, much higher. It's over 200,000. So we're well within that. So we're still within our parameters. The point is that come September, October, that's going to be the key months where we might, if we can't get this appropriation increased, we could, jeopardize being able to use well 9 for the rest of the year, so we don't exceed our appropriation. So we had already requested a temporary increase, and we were denied by the state. But they did say if you want to increase allocation or appropriation to submit that formally, so we did. And the response is that this would have to go through Brinkley bill because we don't have the land recharge for it, but that's what the Brinkley bill is for, is so that you can get additional appropriation without necessarily having the land recharge in a municipality within one of 3 counties, and we're one of those counties. So that is the purpose for the emergency, is to not wait another month while we're trying to get to where we need to be.
Okay, quick question. There's no guarantee that MDE will appropriate 100,000, 50,000, or anything. If we do move this 100,000 over from the budget, the initial phase 1 is, I'm assuming, is not the full 100,000. So we're not risking everything. What would the phase 1, if awarded, amount be?
So phase 1, I think it's in the recommendation. It's like
$39,000?
$44,078.
Okay. So initially, we're putting 44,000 in.
Yeah.
That will get us into the exploration phase. They will then tell us how much is there, what we possibly could be allocated, and then the rest of the money, we would either say that's not enough, we can pull that money back, or it's worth it, we can invest that money to continue the appropriations.
I think once phase 1's done, you'll have a good indication whether we should obtain that, yes.
Okay. So our max losses, if 0, would be that 40,000?
Yes.
Not 100,000? Okay. Okay.
Councilor, are you done, Councilor? Are you? Okay, thank you. Barney, under the Brinkley bill, if I understand it correctly, the municipality has to pay for the services of the engineering. It's not a gratis thing. The state won't pay for it. If we want it, we need to pay for it. So it's kind of, since we need to obtain the extra appropriation to say we don't get dinged by MDE, we need to pay for it no matter what.
Correct.
To explore it. Okay, thank you.
Barney, if you don't mind.
Yes.
For the citizens out there, they're going to want to know, and the question was asked, what exactly are we paying for? Why is it so expensive? Why is the engineering services so expensive on this?
Sure. So just give you an indication of what a new well might cost. We drilled, when we were searching for water under consent order back in the 10 to 15 years ago, we had drilled 28 wells in the Gillis Falls area. We had spent over $400,000 searching for water there. Not very successful. We had one well that was a potential, but it was just going to be cost prohibitive to bring it into town, so it never moved forward. We ended up drilling 3 more wells in town, ended up with well 11. That got us, that with some reappropriation on a couple wells, got us to where we needed to be to get out of the consent order. Well 11 costs somewhere around $1 million to bring online, to develop it, tie it into our water station, upgrade the water station. It's about $1 million for about 70, I think that one's about 77,000 gallons a day. We're talking about 50,000 gallons a day, even though it's at a risk for a total of maybe $100,000 versus $1 million. It's well worth investigating, and we are going to need additional appropriation in the next few years.
So that'll bring me to my next question. It does seem like a good ROI, considering what we would spend to get, a like amount of water in the past.
Right.
The additional appropriation in the coming years. Everyone knows, obviously, the Beck property, and the developers for that property have stated many times they will not ask the town for water. We as a council would have the ability to decide where this extra allocation of water is going to go. Meaning, I'm assuming this is supposed to be for downtown zone, priority zones. For example, the bank building, the old Capital One building that's now going to be a car wash will require more water.
Right.
Things like that is where this extra appropriation would be designed to go. This is what we're investing in.
Correct. And the Brinkley bill is designed for that as well.
Okay.
It's for economic development, it's for your infills, not for annexing anything in. It's just for trying to keep up with the increasing demand, redevelopment.
So redevelopment like the brewery from the bank building, et cetera. Okay. All right. And again, we would have the authority to allocate where this extra appropriation would go.
Correct.
Okay.
And I did give you some data. Our average water use from 2014 was 624,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
Our average use in 2022 was 703,000 gallons a day. It's increasing pretty steadily. Some of that was Brittany Manor, so some of that was residential. You might still have some areas that you have small residential that also come in, but there is some steady growth with the industrial, commercial, and redevelopment.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll let council see if
Yes.
Member Demota
I have
goes
a-
first.
So, I'll keep within my 5 minutes here. When I heard Mr. Swanson give his comments at the beginning of the meeting, I wholeheartedly agreed with every single comment. Now I'm getting additional information. I guess, I look at this memorandum you prepared, and it says nothing about the main driving issue of the moment, which is we need more water because of PFAS concerns and they need to pump more water. Your memo doesn't speak to any of that. Your memo speaks to needing water to finish out already allocated but not yet built projects. And then the end of your background paragraph says, just to keep up with commercial and industrial redevelopment projects. So I'm hearing a different part of the story here at the meeting than I saw in the memo. So that's, I wish it would have spoken to more of the main issues. Secondly, to me, this should have gone through the Water and Sewer Commission. I spoke with the chairperson for the commission, and this did not go through the Water and Sewer Commission, and that's part of, Mr. Mayor, that's your commission, these are your executive actions. I'm disappointed this didn't flow through that process. A couple other thoughts. So you're using the Brinkley bill to do this, okay? And I'll just give you my thoughts. The Brinkley bill was passed back in 2007, 2008. And make no mistake about it, that bill was a pro-growth bill. That was to spur the ability to do more development within certain counties in Maryland. And specifically, to have enough water, because they didn't have any recharge areas, enough recharge credits to develop at the densities certain municipalities wanted to develop. So my view, the Brinkley bill is a pro-development bill, and we are using it to get more water. And I looked at the MDE guidance for how to apply for these excess recharge credits, and there are numerous requirements, one of which is you have to explain how your request links into your local comprehensive plan zoning in existence at the time. So it's important to know specifically what projects and where this water is going to go, because clearly it's going to be used for more development of some kind, either commercial, industrial, or residential. I would like to know more about what that water is going to be used for. A last comment, just in general on the Brinkley bill, I don't like the way we're using it, because the Brinkley bill is like robbing Peter to pay for Paul. We're basically getting recharge credits from other parts of the county and using those recharge credits because we don't have enough of recharge capacity. Now, let me ask a question. By the fact that we're asking for more recharge credits for this well, does that mean that there's not enough recharge capacity within the town municipality limits for any additional wells?
No, again, we're under 5 separate sub-watersheds, 12-digit
Okay.
watersheds. This is looking at one 12-digit watershed. And so it's, the portion that's in town is a very small portion of the total 12-digit watershed.
Okay.
So the Brinkley bill has to study that entire watershed, explain why, whether there's a lot of farms, a lot of things that no time in the near future is going to develop or need that water.
Right.
And the idea of the Brinkley bill is to prevent sprawl development, so that
I understand.
you concentrate on your towns and cities.
I understand the counter argument, but I see it a little differently. And at the time the Brinkley bill was proposed, there was a lot of opposition from environmental groups and such because of what it was trying to do. So, last question, is this so urgent that we have to do this tonight, or can we wait a month to do this so that it goes through the Water and Sewer Commission?
Again, our well 9 is being utilized. It's doing well, it's doing great. However, we're going to run out of appropriation to where we can't use it the rest of the year, because we have not gone 1 month this year, this calendar year, where we haven't used above our daily average appropriation, so for the average of the whole year. So, and we're using significantly more. So if we don't get this, again, we're going to have to shut off well 9 come October. So for 3 months, you won't have that. It means you'll have to run your other wells that have the higher PFAS to make up for it. The whole goal of what this, you got to give credit to your operators down at your superintendent and operators down at the treatment plant. They have been concentrating on trying to minimize that PFAS in the water. Where they did bring in well 7 and 11, they ran the well that was less PFAS, not the higher concentrated one, to try to run that station for a short time and then turn it back off. So there's a lot of efforts trying to be made, and this would help us with those efforts.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Thank you, Mayor and Council President. First off, I would like to just say no disrespect to the Water and Sewer Commission, but everything does not have to go through them, particularly an emergency related to this, to make sure we can continue using the well for it. Also, if we wait a month, Barney, what would be, we've had this discussion before earlier today, you indicated that, say, the return of any potential results would be 2 to 3 months out. So if we wait a month, that would put us past the cutoff date for our permit. And I guess what I'm saying, if we run it past, we could incur fines from the state for violation of the permits and things of that nature. So that justifies the emergency ordinance in my eyes for it. And the Brinkley bill, I'm not saying there was not opposition to the Brinkley bill. There was a lot, and MDE just say is doing the best they can with something that they had very little input on when it was introduced and passed by the General Assembly. So they're doing that, and we have to do it no matter what. It's a better return on investment than drilling for a new well at $1 million and maybe obtaining the approximate same appropriation. So that's my last question and comment, President. Thank you.
Mayor Hushhour?
Thank you. Yeah, just to let you know, I mean, well number 9 is one of our best performing wells in terms of PFAS levels. And there is while I would confess that maybe some things could have been articulated better, we're working within a compressed time frame to get this done. So I appreciate all of Mr. Swanson's questions, and I always do. I hold him in high regard. But in this case, I think, and I hope that the council is on board with approving this so that we can get to work on it and meet the needs that we have for quality water in the town. Thanks.
Any further questions? All right, we will need a motion.
I make the motion for the council to vote on, hold on, I got the two things here. Motion to approve ordinance 2023-36, which is the budget amendment to add $100,000 to the well exploration and development as explained in the ordinance for emergency adoption.
I will second. Any further discussion? And just for clarification purposes, we will need a 4-to-1 due to it being an emergency. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, passes. Because that passed, we're going to revert back to new business to award engineer services for well 9 appropriation calculations. I'll relinquish the floor to Barney once again.
Thank you. We have RK&K is our engineer on retainer for water treatment and water services. They had given us a proposal with experience on that design team that have run through these calculations. They've done this on a number of projects, and I should say several projects. Their proposal was for phase 1 to be $44,078. They had given us a phase 2 cost as well, and it was, when added together, it's under the $100,000. And so we're asking for council to award this to RK&K for $44,078 for phase 1.
Okay. And then any other phase 2s or any other money above $44,078 will have to come back for another vote as well. So it's not for the full 100,000. Okay. All right. So I will make a motion to approve phase 1 to award engineering services for, is it R&K? Is that what you said?
RK&K.
RK&K in the amount of $48,078.
I'll second. 44,000.
Yeah, that's what I said, $44,078. Yeah. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barney. All right, we are on to ordinance 2023-37, water and sewer rate increase. This will be up for introduction. Do we have anyone that would like to introduce?
All right, I'll introduce this one. I introduce for introduction 2023-37, ordinance number, regarding the increase as titled, which is basically increase in water and sewer rates.
I will second, and this will come back to us next month. All right, next up, ordinance 2023-38. This is a budget amendment to add $305,502 to Rails to Trails west of Main Street for introduction.
I would like to introduce ordinance 2023-38, budget amendment to add $305,502 to Rails to Trails west of Main Street. Make a motion and introduce.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and we are good for any comments?
I'd just like to make one quick comment on this. Even though it's a budget amendment for $305,000, the full amount or close to it is grant money from the state, so there is no direct, I want to say, cost from the Mount Airy taxpayer from our coffers per se. So this is fully paid or closely fully paid by state grant money.
Yeah, this is another one of those. We thought we would be further along in expending this money last fiscal year, but now that we haven't, we need to transfer it over into the new fiscal year like all those other budget amendments we did.
Just a little housekeeping. All right, next up, 2023-39, for purpose of enacting zoning changes with respect to vape shops, cannabis businesses, and hemp businesses. This will be for introduction and referral to the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 2023-39 for the purpose of enacting zoning changes with respect to vape shops, cannabis businesses, and hemp businesses for introduction and referral to the Planning Commission.
Do we have a second?
Yes, sir. I'll second it.
All right, this will be off to planning.
I'll make a quick comment, if you
Absolutely.
don't mind.
Sure.
It'll be quick. I just wanted to commend Councilmember Munder, Councilmember Demoter for taking on all the issues concerning recreational marijuana coming into the town. You guys have done incredible research, so I greatly appreciate it. And all the council members work hard, but you guys have spearheaded this effort, so thank you.
Yeah, it's something new that's hitting
Yeah.
the state, so thank you very much for your efforts. That is it for resolutions and ordinances in the agenda. I don't believe we have anything for unfinished business. At this time, we will move into, or we will vote to move into a closed session per General Provisions Article 3-305B, subset 3, to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto, subject of land acquisition. At the conclusion of this closed meeting, our council meeting will be adjourned. We will have a roll call to get into the closed meeting. Councilmember Evans?
Aye.
Councilmember Demoter?
Aye.
Council Secretary Galletti?
Aye.
Councilmember Demoter?
Aye.
All right, and we will now go into a closed session. Thank you. Come on, let's go.